you alluded to it earlier, but we have real world events that we think about. We obviously are thinking about this crisis with, I mean, we have a refugee crisis all over the world, but it's been highlighted in recent years. And then also we have what's going on in the Ukraine. And I know, Liev, I think I, people sometimes think you're from there, and it's your grandfather on your mother's side who emigrated from there. Is that
My,
correct?
my, yes, and my mother's grandparents. But
But you've been
I'm
very
American.
involved in this. You've been very involved. You have an organization now. I'd like to hear a little bit about what's going on with you there, and how that connects to this. If you, I assume you've thought about that connection.
Yeah. Some friends and I started an organization called Blue Check Ukraine, which is basically fast tracking financial support to NGOs, mostly Ukrainian, on the ground in Ukraine, who are supplying humanitarian aid where it's needed. We work with an international law firm called Ropes and Gray, who vets and verifies everybody, so people know where their money is going and exactly what it's doing. It was a result of a friend calling me and asking me if I wanted to do anything with them in terms of telling the stories of people. And at that point, I'd been watching the war on the couch with my kids, and I really didn't feel like telling the story or anything dramatic or theatrical or interpretive made sense. And I sort of said to them in no uncertain terms, look, if you want to help, just send money. And then a guy called back and gave me some ideas about how we could do that. And I jumped on board. It was around after my first trip, not my first trip, because it's probably my third trip. I'd been there a few times before to shoot as well, because I made a film about Ukraine. And after that uh, third trip, I got this script, and it occurred to me that this was a really, really extraordinary way to touch those themes of why it's so important that we remember in America what's happening in Ukraine and how profoundly it affects us, our democracy, and for that matter, all of Western Europe and the world. Um, it's a hard time, obviously, as people know in Ukraine, and as support and political opinions and ideas waver in this country, it gets lost a little bit in the conversation. And I think for me, reading this script and hearing Miep's story reminded me of the humanity and the lives that are at stake right now in Ukraine.